A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13, powered by Tata Telebusiness Services. I'm Ritvika Gupta. Tonight, we are bringing you highlights from our first Springboard of Season 13, hosted in Mumbai, centered on the theme Purpose, Progress and Prosperity. In the first segment, we feature a special keynote address titled Powering the Rise of India's Future Enterprises by Mr. Harjit Singh, Managing Director, Tata Teleservices. And in the second segment, a conversation with Vishal Rally, Chief Revenue Officer, Tata Teleservices.
Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's an absolute privilege to be in your midst here and leaders of tomorrow, and shall I say leaders of today and tomorrow. It is also a privilege to be associated with this platform that has been created by ET Now along with IDFC. And we are really encouraged by the direction that our association can take, and therefore, fingers crossed, you will see us more and more in this event. Before I start my address, I think it's important to share with you as to what our vantage point is. I'm very happy to share with you that unlike most of the telcos that you see in the industry, we are the only ones who have a singular focus on small and medium enterprises. So literally everything that we plan and everything that we strategize, every product and service that we create, every go-to-market that we conceive, every investment that we make in this sort of network is all focused on small and medium enterprise, right? So, and the fact of the matter is that over the last 2 decades, we've built a team which is probably the largest out there, certainly in the telecom sector. We have thousands of channel partners out there. We have hundreds of employees who are meeting small and medium enterprise customers on a daily basis. And because of that, there are insights that we've got, which we've sort of, shaped into our products and services and also into our learnings. This point has been made, and I will give just a sort of a quantitative lens to it. And clearly, huge number of SMEs, about 50-60 million of them, they contribute as much as 30% of the GDP, 90% of the employment, right? And then if you do the maths, let's say 10% of the people who are employed by large enterprises contribute 70% of the GDP, whereas 90% of the workforce which is employed by SMEs contribute only 30%. If you do back of the envelope calculation, you come to the conclusion that every employee within a large enterprise is 20 times more productive than an employee within small and medium enterprises. And that is obviously, the number will vary across various industries. But that is the extent of the upside that we have. I'm not giving you this number to depress you, but to make you feel excited about the future which lies in front of you if we are collectively in a position to solve some of the issues that afflicts these small and medium enterprises. Also the fact, I think Ashish also made a very compelling point about the fact that when we talk about MSMEs, we tend to think of them as a homogeneous segment. Our experience also sort of brings to bear the same fact that the segment is not homogeneous, right? Whereas the micro enterprises tend to resemble retail, the medium enterprises tend to, in their behaviors, tend to resemble more of the large enterprises. And we do this study almost every year as to what is the state of the mind. And if you were to focus on the presentation here, whereas micro and small enterprises are trying to balance the element of efficiency and convenience, the medium enterprises are looking to future-proof themselves. So that is a very wide dimension. When we meet our extremely micro sort of enterprises, they want us to play the role of an all-rounder. They don't want to deal with a number of service providers. They want one service provider to solve all the problems. But if we speak with, say, medium enterprises, they are looking at specialists. They're not looking at gender basis. The medium enterprises also expect you to don the mantle of a partner. They don't want you to sell a product and move away. They want you to be steadfast or to stay connected with them in their journey of technology adoption. So again, just to sort of buttress the point that the SME segment, the segments are very different. Their challenges are very different, and therefore solutions have to be crafted for their individual needs. However, different they are, but there are certain challenges that Ashish sort of spoke about. Financing, funding is a challenge that most of these organizations have. Talent scarcity is a very, very real challenge. And in these days and times, scarcity of digital resources is a challenge that many of our customers sort of speak about. Market access, because a small and medium enterprise does not have the same physical digital infrastructure. See, many of these enterprises are actually battling head-on with larger enterprises, right? If they were only competing with fellow small and medium enterprises, the situation wouldn't be that stark. The fact of the matter is, many of our customers have taken the big wigs head-on, and therefore, all these factors, become very, very important from a relative point of view in terms of, do you have the market access? Do you have the tools to expand your market access? The one element which perhaps is extremely pronounced is the adoption of technology by small and medium enterprises. And the question is not whether the small and medium enterprise want to embrace technology. The fact of the matter is that if you look at the supply side, there are very few people out there, very few service providers out there who are creating products that are conducive to the environment that the small and medium enterprises are operating in. Many of the products that they enjoy are really hand-downs from what has been created for large enterprises. So again, I'm coming down to some of our learnings. I think technology at a very basic level, at very simple level, has to solve for two problems, right? It has to solve for, or it has to ensure that small and medium enterprises are resilient, which means they are in a position to handle the bad times, and also the fact that they should be solved for scale, which is when tailwinds, you enjoy tailwinds, are you in a position to monetize the opportunity in front of you? If technology is not solving these basic problems, then seriously, it is not doing anything for the customers that we are sort of talking about. I would now, again, like I said, I'm not going to explore the theoretical dimension of technology. It is more about, I mentioned to you earlier that we have 50,000 customers and we have worked with hundreds and thousands of sort of customers, as to what are some of the trends that we see, what are some of the more successful small and medium enterprises doing, at what points are they winning and at what points are they failing. So that's the dimension that I will try and bring to you. And when I sort of talk about technology, I'm talking about three large themes: digitization, cloud, and AI. Now, digitization has been a favorite theme of enterprises over many, many years. I think all of you would have heard about what companies have been doing. It was a trend picked by large enterprises. Small and medium enterprises are not behind. In fact, if I may mention, while COVID was a tremendous human disaster, but what it did for accelerating the digital journey of many enterprises is quite sort of notable out there. Now, and there are various sort of approaches that people have taken. Some enterprises who view demand generation as a critical area, who see demand generation as a basic challenge that they're facing, they're focused on digitizing or taking marketing, sales workflows to the sort of digital environment to make those efficient. There are other examples, especially on the manufacturing side, where organizations seek efficiency gains. So they've looked at ERP solutions, they've looked at CRM solutions to make themselves sort of more efficient out there. There are SMEs who are grappling with the problems on payables and receivables. They tend to sort of digitize to begin with workflows which are in the realm of payables and receivables. In our experience, the companies which have derived maximum benefit are the companies who are focusing on customer service or customer centricity as the core theme. The other strong trend that we've seen is the adoption of cloud. And when I say cloud, not just from infrastructure point of view, but also from an application and platform point of view. And actually, cloud was really made for small and medium enterprises. And the reality is that there are both large enterprises who've embraced cloud and the lesser small and medium enterprises, but that number is increasing. In a recent survey that we primary research that we did, we found that at least 50% of the SMEs that we've sort of worked with, what we deal with, have shifted some or other of their workflows sort of to the cloud. And as many as 20% of these organizations have moved more than 50% of their workloads or processes to the cloud. Third theme that I want to talk about is the theme of AI. I think Ashish briefly spoke about AI. AI has taken everything by storm, and I think we are now past the stage where it is more hype than matter. I think we are at a stage where we are realizing, and industries across the spectrum, large and small, that there is a tangible benefit out of adopting AI sort of in our work processes, in our value chain. So to summarize, in conclusion, and like all the speakers before me have said, the MSME segment is vast, right? 20 times productivity gains are sort of vast. Technology can play the role of a leveler. There are certain problems that you will always face relative to large enterprises, but technology can be a leveler, right? Calibrated technology adoption is the way to go. There are a set of people, there are a set of providers out there who can help you, who can be your partners. And at the end of it, if you are able to implement it, you are looking at 20x growth in productivity, right? And in all your sort of KPIs that are important to you. Thank you very much. I hope I've been able to share some of our experiences of working with a vast number of organizations.
It's time for a quick break. Here, we'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back to IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13, powered by Tata Telebusiness Services, and you're watching our Mumbai Springboard highlights. In this segment, we explore how India's MSMEs can embrace digital transformation, navigate disruption, and balance purpose with profit to drive sustainable growth. Mr. Vishal Rally shares insights with my colleague Sumiit Lakhutia on how MSMEs can scale confidently in a changing business landscape. Listen in.
Vishal, we've got a very interesting topic here today to talk about something that is so relevant, which is the digital ascent of India's MSMEs. I want to start off a little bit, just taking off from the earlier panel, what like Naya was talking about, how she's using AI in her company. I want to talk a little bit about your ad that had this guy fumbling for Wi-Fi and things like that. All of that is very real. So, based on that, what do you think is some of either the biggest opportunity or the biggest challenge that MSMEs face, considering this is a whole gamut of stuff when you're talking about the digital space? What's your experience talking to people and the stuff that you're doing?
I think what comes to my mind immediately is Bob Dylan's song first, yeah, which is times they are changing. I think the way and the pace of change that's happening, probably one needs to listen to that song thrice a day, because that's the pace at which it's changing. We know that MSMEs are pretty resilient, in themselves. Also, I think we are all sitting on a lifetime of opportunity here, right? This is pretty much India's decade, and some would call it is India's century, right? And something that is so critical for a growth of the country and growth for MSMEs as well is to have that strong technology bedrock. Right? And some of the speakers here before did speak about AI. And maybe I'll take some examples, right? And maybe healthcare industry was spoken about. I'll pick up an example there, something that we've already delivered.
Sure.
When we look at AI, and I think Harjit did touch upon this earlier, that all of, maybe many of the businesses think it is meant for large enterprises, make your own LLMs or SLMs, and so on and so forth. But really, cloud-based AI is right here, right now. And many of the SMEs could really get going without spending too much of an effort.
How are you seeing some examples of how technology can still, how MSMEs can still use technology for their benefit by not having to not take everything on their heads?
Yeah. One of the founders of McDonald's once said that we are not in the business of selling burgers. We are in the business of real estate, right? And I think that's very true now when they say every business is a tech business. That doesn't mean that all MSMEs have to become the tech sellers, right? They're not really selling technology, right? But really the value creation and the customer intimacy is happening because of technology right up there. MSMEs now, especially the forward-looking ones, understand that they don't need to do everything on their own, right? Maybe a bit of a repeat, but they know that they should spend majority of the time on their core business. And technology being such an important element, they look for partnerships. They look for specialists to see what they can do for them. Yeah. So again, possibly an example out here. So this is in the, cosmetic dentistry kind of an example. I'm trying to take examples of smaller units rather than medium-sized enterprises. And see, they are good in what they do, right? And they were looking at how they can become closer to customers, how they can give literally an equal to one kind of a experience to their customers, and how technology can really help them. And the whole idea of, how they could do video consultations and not always look for customers coming to their small outlets, what technology they could use. And since this is cosmetic, right? So there are many consultations that go back and forth, and kind of alignment, kind of a product that they have. And all of that happening very, very seamlessly with technology tools, best-in-class video technology tools, consultations being done, the communication to customers done through a cloud-based omni-channel solution. We have a product called SmartFlow that helps them to have that closeness to the customers, getting updated, keeping them updated in terms of, what next comes in for them. And also, it's also about a post-sales purchase, saying, any kind of issues that come up. So it's like a comprehensive kind of a technology framework or a technology stack that made so much sense for their business.
Vishal, one other thing is very often when you talk about prosperity, it's kind of linked to revenue.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on what prosperity could mean for MSMEs, and how is Tata Teleservices empowering the MSMEs?
I think the prosperity needs to be looked at a multi-dimensional level, right? So it's not about just revenues. Obviously, revenue is important. But if you're looking at a long term, then in terms of, how you're looking at customer satisfaction, how you're looking at employee motivation, how are you looking at, the entire ecosystem that you work with. And, if I were to take an example, again, of a dairy company. It's not very large dairy, it's a small dairy company. And typically what they do is they get milk from the farmers, right, on a daily basis. And obviously that's the transactional element, right? You get the milk and then you pay the farmers in terms of, the quality, quantity, and so on and so forth. But they realize that they need to do slightly more, because they realize that these farmers probably don't have the wherewithal to take care of the healthcare of the cattle and so on and so forth, which they could have said, that's not my role, figure out. But they looked at the prosperity from the entire ecosystem perspective. So we work very closely with them. Obviously, they hired vets, but they didn't know how to even get the communication going, right? How to ensure that the vets know that which farmer needs to be reached out, when is the requirement, because it has to be addressed then and there. And that's where we kind of put in an integrated kind of a solution, which was in multiple languages. English would work in this scenario, and the farmers could reach out at their time of need, and vets which are on field, actually whoever is closest in terms of to that farmer and that cattle get actually assigned.
You spoke about agility, and actually the theme of our this year's season of Leaders of Tomorrow, season 13, is actually agility, ambition, and ascent. Just wanted to get a little bit more insight on what you think does agility mean for MSMEs, especially now, in tier 2, tier 3 cities of India, because that's where we're seeing a lot more growth coming in with great ideas, unique ideas. So agility, define that for MSMEs.
Yeah. See, agility is basically how quickly can you adapt to the changing scenarios, right? What's happening in the market, changing needs of customers, looking at needs of their own employees, and the technology disruption that's happening. Interestingly, when you look at tier 2 and tier 3 MSMEs, frankly, they have those local insights that are available to them, which probably not available elsewhere. But how do they leverage those insights? And that's where they need technology agility. And frankly, cloud as a solution, as a technology solution, has bridged that gap. So multiple solutions, whether it's cloud-based communication, omni-channel solution that I spoke about, cloud-based infrastructure solutions which are available, or cloud-based networking solution that can come in terms of providing that agility to all of these MSMEs. And today, frankly, with cloud being all pervasive, it doesn't matter whether you are an MSME in a tier 2 or a tier 3 town, or you're in a metro location, because you could use the best in class of cloud products. And the way we have designed those products, keeping SME customers in mind, is that they can start small, and it's elastic in nature. So pay as you grow, you can upgrade, you can downgrade, basis requirements and so forth, that happens.
Vishal, just one last question to you on your thoughts, and I love the theme of Tata Teleservices, do big.
Yeah.
How would you advise MSMEs on how they can do big? What are some opportunities that you see for them?
Probably a combination of quite a lot of stuff that you've already heard today, but see, for India to really reach the 5 trillion, 10 trillion, kind of economy, it'll only happen if MSMEs contribution grow all the way from that 30% to 50-55%, right? And for MSMEs to grow, it's not going to happen till the best in technology, best in digital services and solutions are implemented. I think some of the speakers did speak about the public digital infrastructure, right? The Aadhaar, UPI, and so on and so forth. That's pretty much on the D2C side, right? All of us use that. And I think it's very critical for MSMEs to have a tech stack that is customized for their needs, keeping their needs in mind. So the learnings from a far away kind of an industry, when applied to a particular industry, can give wonderful results. And I think what we do is also we look at cross-industry learnings as Tata Tele Business Services, and we see, can we use this solution? Can we use this tech stack for this particular industry vertical, and maybe it will just, change the way kind of they work.
Fantastic. Well, we're hoping that all MSMEs, the ones that are here and that are watching us, do prosper and do big and add to the growth of the country. Thank you so much, Vishal, for your time and for sharing your thoughts. Thank you.
And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 13, powered by Tata Tele Business Services. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.